Hello everyone, and today I'll be reading a Muichiro listener by me. So let's get into it. You were both in your 20s. We told him the news. And Muichiro, well, he was the happiest man you could ever be. He wrapped his arms tightly around you, kissing your cheeks and all over your face, thanking you over and over for allowing him this chance to have a family. Perhaps if he had hurt himself a couple of years ago, he would have chuckled and called himself stupid. But being with you, it made him realize how precious family was, and how much he just wanted one of his own, how he was desperate for one, and how he would do anything to get that. But he never really expected to be able to have it, to get that chance, to get something that was forbidden in this world. And as expected, he spoiled you to no end. He would get you a glass of water, even though you could perfectly move on your own, telling you he didn't want you to stress yourself out. And he found it quite adorable how he was willing to do everything. And cooking as well. Well, cooking, for one, was a task that you were relieved that he was willing to take up, because it was not your favorite thing in the world. And though you felt bad for taking advantage of his kindness, perhaps it would be fine, just this once. It was the one thing that you hated doing, but you did it because you knew most of the time he was not able to come around at home early enough to cook for the two of you, and most of the time he would be exhausted, and you decided to take up the task, knowing that it would be too much to ask of him. But some days he still did it anyway. But the fact that he decided to fully take it up when you were pregnant, it made your heart soften and melt, and you were truly grateful for it. And it only started getting more intense from there, with him trying to take over any chore that you had to do. You were just cleaning, and immediately as he saw you, he took the broom away from you. "Hey, Muichiro, what are you doing?" You say with a soft laugh, but he shakes his head. "That's enough, Ayan. I'm not letting you do that." "But I'm fine." "Come on, Muichiro, there's no need to stress over this." "There is, though." You just chuckle, shaking your head. "You worry too much." And though he didn't think that he worried enough, he listened to you anyway, letting you clean this time, because he knew he would not be letting you clean again. And he didn't want to take away your agency, or make you feel like you were weak or couldn't do anything. He just wanted to help, but he felt like it would help you to occasionally help yourself to some stuff, since you seemed to be getting bored of his treatment, and you understood why. He too did not like the feeling of being helpless and not knowing how to do anything at all. But most importantly, he just wanted you and the baby to be fine. That's all he truly cared about. And you could tell that he had your best interests at heart. And perhaps some other beings didn't have your best interests. Perhaps it was fate, perhaps it was luck, or rather misfortune, that just decided that all your efforts were for naught. Because then, as you walked down the stairs to fetch something, one day while he was not around, you had fallen, and it hurt you. You find yourself in pain, screaming, and you saw blood, and you were terrified. Your baby could be dying, and it would be your fault, your carelessness that killed him. You started screaming, asking for anyone to come and help you. You couldn't even drag yourself upright. And somehow, Muichiro was there. He seemed to be getting home at an earlier time, and that's when he found you so quickly, before you had passed out. He carried you in his arms, not asking any questions, but you could see the horrified look on his face, the way he was trembling, the way he was so worried, and yet he kept his mouth shut, if only to let out whispers, telling you that you're okay. You'll be okay. Nothing bad would happen to you. He would make sure of it. But he didn't know if he was lying, if he were to be truthful. He had passed out in his arms before he could take you to anyone who would take care of you. A doctor, a midwife, anyone you could find. But eventually he was able to get you to someone. And then he felt the fear settle in his heart, more so than when he had been carrying you. And he felt it, trembling, fidgeting and hoping for the best. So he knew he dreaded hearing those words. That maybe you wouldn't wake up again. Maybe your baby had died. Maybe both. He would never know. And when the doctor had come out of the room, his heart was caught in a throat as he looked up at him. How is she? How is the baby? They're both alright. And before the doctor could even continue, he felt a sigh of relief leave him, his shoulders sagging. And they'll have to stay here for a couple of days. And as for the baby, well, the pregnancy is going to be a lot harder now. But I advise you to make her rest. No going upstairs, no moving a lot, until the month passes. It could have been a lot worse. And Muichiro knew that. It could have been 10 times worse. A million times worse, in fact. He nodded, bowing down, grateful. Thank you. Thank you for saving them. It's all right, the doctor said, before leaving, and Muichiro had immediately entered the room upon being allowed to, holding your hand and kissing it over and over, whispering apologies to you for not being there, for not preventing this, even though he probably wouldn't have been able to. You didn't listen to him often, but right now he knew that he was not going to let you have your way no matter what. You were going to rest, and he would make sure of it. But for now he was relieved that his world would be okay, that you and your future child would be fine. Watching as he peacefully slept, unburdened by the reality that you were in, or the consequences of this mistake. And he was glad for it because he knew you were going to fuss a lot about it later. And he cupped your face in his hands, leaning down to press a soft kiss to your lips. He'll be fine, just like I promised. You see, I wasn't lying to you. Perhaps back then he didn't know better and was just saying it. But he was more than glad that what his heart thought had been right all along, that you were strong, and so was your child, and that everything would be okay in the end, and hopefully it would continue on being that way.